Hi, let's think a little bit about spelling stages and phonics features. For most of you, this will be a review, and so you can take this video at the speed you need and focus on the parts that you think you need more review of. This review is based on two texts. This is information coming from Kathy Gansk and also the Bear Words Their Way text. So when we think about spelling, we are going to think about developmental progressions. And just like other developmental progressions, like the way that children learn to walk, there are some things that precede other understandings. So children learn to crawl before they sit up, and then they learn to walk. So we're going to learn those kinds of developmental progressions in spelling. When kids first learn to spell or think about how to record ideas, they might do something like this. So this is the child writing bed, ship, and drive. And you can see that the student is making some letters, and those letters are going left to right across the page. But there's very little relationship between the sounds of the words and the letters that are recorded. So this child is very emergent in their spelling development. The next child we have is writing a few sounds that they hear in words. So in almost, they hear the and the t at the very end. In got, they hear the first sound. So again, they're writing left to right with a return sweep, and they're hearing something about each word, but not the full array of sounds. We might be suspicious that this particular student might not have the needed skill of phonological isolation that would be necessary to hear all the sounds and record them in these words. The student also might just not have the knowledge of some of the letter sounds that they are able to isolate. Or the student might not just be able to form the letters that they have isolated and identified. So when you see students spelling, you can understand that a lot's going on there. We talk about concepts about print, phonological awareness, alphabetic principle, and phonics as if they are separate things that students are learning. In reality, in order to write, you're using concepts about print, phonological awareness, phonics knowledge, and various dimensions of that knowledge. This student is a little bit more sophisticated than our first two. You can see they are listening all the way through words, and they are recording sounds. So here's smoke. We've got smoke, float, plate, sweeping. So even an inflected ending showing up there. And stranded. So this student is clearly able to isolate phonemes all the way through the word and record some sounds for those phonemes. And so we see, even in the misspelled attempts, like FLOT for flute, the student can show us what they know. They know this FL blend, they know this T sound at the end, but they're not differentiating the sound ooh, flute, from ah, flot, right? So we can tell what students know and need to learn from their writing attempts. That is predicated on us understanding what we're looking at. So this review is intended to help you refresh information that you learned in your phonics class related to what students are learning at different points in their development. First, let's learn the big mile markers. There are 5 stages in spelling. The first is emergent or pre-phonemic stage, and we talked about that a little bit a few weeks ago when we talked about alphabetic principle. In the pre-phonemic stage, the child is not thinking about the phonemes or the sounds when they're recording a message. The second is letter name stage. The third is within word stage. The fourth is syllable juncture stage. And as the term indicates, syllable juncture is going to involve reading and writing multiple syllable words and thinking about how spellings change as we add inflected endings, prefixes, and suffixes. The last stage is derivational constancy, which is really focused on a lot of content vocabulary and learning Greek and Latin prefixes, suffixes, and roots that we use to make multiple syllable words in English. For our review today, we've already thought about emergent and prephonemic stage. We're going to spend more time right here thinking about letter name and within word stage. In a few weeks, we'll pick up syllable juncture and derivational constancy. We wouldn't think about these as grade level type equivalents, but we could think about the idea that this usually happens when a learner is first exploring a written language. And then letter name stage and within word stage is the beginning of discovering how we record sounds with letters. Syllable juncture and derivational constancy is much more sophisticated, and it starts to move into morphology or thinking about how meaningful chunks influence our spelling. So, in the letter name stage, this is really probably a review, but think about the parts that are tricky for you. We have 5 features that students are learning. Students are learning consonants. Consonants are the easiest phonics feature in English to learn because they tend to be pretty consistent. The letter B has about one sound, right? The letter F has one sound. So these are nice and consistent and easy for students to learn. We remember from our discussion of phonology that consonants are the class of sounds that are made by in some way obstructing the airflow through the mouth or the nose. So we've got our plosives and our fricatives and our liquids and our glides right up here in the consonants. Hopefully you remember those. And then we have short vowels. Short vowels are also called lax vowels. They're called lax vowels not because they are short in duration, but because the back of your palate, so the back part of your tongue when you're making these sounds, is relaxed. A, e, I, a. The back of the tongue is more relaxed. So if you say the short sound here, a, and then say the long sound, a, you'll feel the back of your tongue flatten out when you say the long sound. So the lax or short sound is a relaxed bottom palate on your tongue. The way I think about reminding myself about the short vowel sounds is to put it in words. So this is a simple progression that I use. So this is pat, pet, pit, pot, and put-put, as in putt-putt golf. So when you think about the sound, or think about the word, and then you say the sound, that might help you develop an ear for those short vowels. So think about the word is, and that sound is a, I, a. Okay. Once you have consonants and short vowels, students will be able to make some small words with consonants, vowels, consonants. We call those CVC words. The next category is blends. Blends are wonderful because they are just 2 consonants that happen in quick succession. So you still hear both parts of the blend. Clap, blend. The nice thing here is blend has a blend in it that will help us. Digraphs are 2 graphemes that make one new sound. So this is not kh, it's ch, and that's different than the sound of each individual letter. So in English, these are our digraphs. We have ch, sh, th. Now that's the fricative kind of soft sound of TH, but we also have a sound th, like this and that. Then there's f. And this is a digraph in many dialects. So this would be where, when. We don't hear it so much in the way folks speak in Ohio, at least. We tend to say words like where and when as if they're just a W. Where, when. And the last and trickiest in this group is affricates. So affricates are sounds, little chirping sounds, like the TR in the word trick. We don't say trick, we say trick, trick. It's almost like a little ch sound. And then the DR in dragon, dragon. There's a little bit of a chirping sound at the beginning. J's and CH's can also be classified as affricates, but for the course of our study, it's most consistent and easy to hear the TR and the DR, so we'll focus on those. So you would want to be able to look at a word and read the features. And we'll practice reading the features in class. But the way read the feature works is if I showed you the word stand, you would look at the ST and say that's a blend. And then we have a short vowel. And then the ND is also an ending blend. So we'll practice this in class, but it might be useful for you to try to read the features on your own. So I will attach a little Google Doc that you could use to practice reading the features. I will attach that to this module. Okay, the second stage we're going to think about is within word stage. Now, in within word stage, we're focused on the within part of the word, the middle part of the word, and that's where the vowels occur. So in letter name stage, most of our work was about consonants, right? We had all the consonants here, consonants in blends, consonants in digraphs, and consonants serving as affricates. 4 of the 5 features in letter name stage are about consonants, only 1 about short vowels. And in within word stage, it's the opposite. We have 4 features focused on vowels and only 1 on consonants. So let's take a look at these. First, we have the vowel consonant E, VCE pattern. And this is very consistent feature in English. So when you have A with a consonant and E, that E is going to kick that A and make it say its name. The name of this letter is A, so the sound is A. The sound of this would be E, I, O, and oo, or almost like a U sound, like it's saying its name. So we would make a card that looks like this with a little underscore line here in between. And then when we showed that card to students, we would say something like, put an M here. And then they would say aim. Put a K here. And they would say ache. So we're trying to focus students' attention on seeing this pattern, regardless of what happens in here. And being able to recognize that the vowel sound would be A, the name of the letter. Then we have other long vowels. In English, the most common are EE, EA, EY, and I'll just tell you the sounds these make. Generally, we follow the rule that 2 vowels go walking, and the first one does the talking, and it says its name. So this is E, 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 A, O, A, I, O, and I. We also have a few combinations in English. We call them VCCs. They're only these combinations where the vowel will look like it is short because it is the only vowel in the word, but because it ends with these 2 particular consonants, it becomes long. So OST, like in most, that is definitely a long vowel saying its name. IND, like in kind, I, it's saying its name. And ILD, like in wild, I is saying its name. Then we have R controlled vowels. These are our liquids here, the R, taking over the vowel in front of it and making it sound very different than a short vowel or a long vowel. So we call these R controlled vowels. They are R and OR. Now these are the two that have a distinct sound, R, OR. These three, all make the same sound. So when students are writing words with these three sounds, like the word bird, they have to remember which spelling we would use for that particular word. Abstract vowels, I think of these as abstract vowels are not short and they are not long. So they don't say their name, like A, and they don't conform to the short vowel sound, like ah. Instead, there's kind of in between. So this is ah, this is ah also. This is ow, and this is ow. Ew, oi, and oi. And then two O's make a sound like ooh as in pool, or like you just got punched in the stomach. So the abstract vowels, they're not long, they're not short, they're abstract. And then we have the complex consonants. These are our one consonant group. Now, complex consonants are complex because they only happen at the end of short words, meaning one syllable words, and they happen after short vowels. So you have words like edge and catch and quick. They happen at the end of short words with short vowels. QU is also a complex consonant because Q only ever appears in English followed by a U. And so because these consonants have particular conditions under which they are used, they are rather complex. We call them complex consonants. This is not a blend. It's not a digraph. It's a complex consonant because it only happens at the end of short words with short vowels. All right, I have created that read the features set for you so you can go in and look at some words and see if you can apply your knowledge of these phonics features. And I would encourage you to do that on Brightspace. All right, so if we go back to our initial look at writers writing, if we looked at this particular student, what phonics stage do you think this little writer is in? They are writing letters and using some good concepts about print, left to right directionality, but what they're writing has very little relationship to the letter sounds that they may be intending. So bed is spelled R-A-S-L-Y. That is a pre-phonemic stage writer, yes. So this little guy is recording some of the sounds. G for got, S for struck, L for lightning. Mostly using consonants here. Very few vowels showing up just yet. And that would be a letter name stage speller. Now this little guy is writing an awful lot of consonants, but short vowels might be the thing we teach next. And then this speller, they've got lots of consonant sounds, even these little blends. Blends here, sweep, end of blends here. And they've got some short vowels, but they're not showing us yet that they know how to do vowel consonant E or other long vowels. So this student is probably done with letter name stage and ready to learn some within word stage features. This student might be really ready to learn that magic E. Adding E will make the A say its name, and the name of that letter is A, so this would be plate. So knowing these phonics features will help us analyze the words that we're using in our phonics instruction. It will also help us recognize in students' writing where they might be developmentally and what they might need to learn next. So I would encourage you to do something to help yourself. Way back in phonics, you made sets of cards for letter name and within word stage. If you still have those cards, I would like you to bring those with you to class. If you do not have those cards, I would encourage you to make some. And in order to make some, all you need to do is go back to the places here where I've given you a list of the features and go ahead and make cards for the consonants, the short vowels, the blends, the digraphs, the affricates. Do the same with the within word stage features. Make a card for each of those and make them look like this. Now, I would suggest you use your good teacher handwriting because we will use these, I think you probably remember this, to play a little phonics solitaire in class where we're going to sort the phonics features into stages and then sort them within each stage. So this will really help you refresh your memory of these phonics features. But I want you to use your good teacher handwriting because we will also use these cards in the structured literacy lessons that you will use with students. So you make the card once so that you can use it in our class to provide some retrieval practice, but it will also become an instructional material for you. So use nice big letters and use as conventional printing as you can. Use lowercase letters so that we can actually put them in words and conform to those concepts about print. We will use these cards for the blending drill in structured literacy lessons. We also would use these cards, as this teacher is doing, to do a visual drill. That's also part of structured literacy. So make these cards, and you can, I think making them, there's a step there in making them that would probably help with studying them. So I would encourage you to make them. If you're feeling particularly I don't know, you have more things to do. You can't make these cards. You just can't. You could go to this UFly website and look under where it says grapheme cards. You have to scroll down a little bit. You'll see that they have grapheme card decks that you can print in different sizes. So if you wanted to, you could print these cards and then cut them apart. There's a small size, there's a medium, there's a large. And these are all pre-printed. So that might be something that you want to do. But either way, I want you to have a card deck that you can bring to class so that we can start studying. All right. Thank you very much.